The world is plagued with a plethora of problems, but what you focus on is what really matters. While some choose to focus on problems, others focus on solutions. You're welcome to the ReadySolutions Show, where we spotlight real people solving real problems and creating lasting impact. From tech pioneers to agripreneurs, from sustainable healthcare solutions to renewable energy and waste management, these are the game changers shaping Nigeria and Africa. Stay with us as we explore these inspiring stories of innovation. Also remember that you have what it takes to become a solution provider when you choose to focus on seeking solutions and not amplifying the problems. You can also follow us across all social media platforms, and let's shift our focus from problems to solutions together. The role of inclusive technology and innovation cannot be overemphasized, as the whole world is clamoring for a time when we will achieve complete inclusivity in different spaces, especially in technology. So today, on this episode of the ReadySolutions Show, we're going to be having a conversation with the lead partner at Data Lead Africa, where he'll be unpacking all of their newest initiative, and very phenomenal one at that, called the Deaf in Tech, where they get to train and empower people suffering from hearing disabilities with the requisite knowledge they need to navigate the world of technology. And this is actually a very important one. I would like you to be a part of it. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us right here. I will jump right into this conversation very shortly. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another very insightful and engaging edition of the ReadySolutions Show, where we bring you real people solving real life problems. Today, we are at Data Lead Africa, where we'll be uncovering one of their very remarkable initiatives called the Deaf in Tech flagship program. It is really interesting to know that there is an incorporation of tech for people facing certain kinds of disabilities. I'm not going to say so much about it because we have someone here that's going to do justice to all of that. Like you already know, my name is Chioma Otie, and again, I'll be your anchor for this episode. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest, or even let him introduce himself, and we jump right into the conversation for today. All right, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Chioma.
It's great to have you here.
Same here.
It's good to have you on this episode of the ReadySolutions Show. How do you feel today?
Oh, I feel very great. I feel grateful.
That's
and
great.
glad to be on your show.
Yes, we are really honored to have you here, and we thank you very much for accepting to do this with us. All right, so can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
My name is Dr. Arolo Ayola, and I'm a partner at Data Lead Africa and founder of the Deaf in Tech program at Data Lead Africa. And really nice to be on your show, on the ReadySolutions Show.
Great. And it's great that you mentioned that you're the founder of the Deaf in Tech, because that is what we are going to be primarily uncovering here today. But before we jump right into that, even though it's our core, let's understand a bit about what happens in Data Lead Africa. You know that people say that you turn data into decisions. So tell us more about that.
Data Lead Africa is a research consulting firm where we provide services in data analytics, in research, in data science. And we provide training in data analytics. We provide research consulting services for several INGOs and even the government of nations in Africa. That's what we're doing here.
Okay, that is a succinct way to say everything that you do, because going through your website, I saw a lot and I'm like, whoa, you people do a lot. So it's good that you're able to put it in such succinct words. All right, so let's jump right into it fully. Tell us a little about the Deaf in Tech initiative that you have. What really necessitated it, and what impact do you seek to actually solve or make?
Yeah. So thanks for asking, Chima. And the Deaf in Tech was started in 2022, and the name already tells the story. Is bringing the deaf into tech. And what's the idea? Tech is a leveler,
Mhm.
and tech levels the playing ground for persons, irrespective of their geographical location, disability status, social status. Tech is that leveler that allows each one of us to have even plain opportunity, within that field. So what we're doing is helping deaf persons to transition into tech by providing the tech skills, either in programming, in data analytics, in designs, in web designs, everything that has to do with tech related skills that the deaf can easily migrate into. That's what we do here.
Interesting. I think that this is actually very remarkable because it's not every day that you get to hear about initiatives like this. We keep clamoring for inclusivity in different sectors, and this is one of them. But then I'm curious to know there are different sorts of disabilities. There is the visually impaired, there is hearing impaired, of course, there are different kinds of disabilities. What informed the decision to actually go for the deaf in tech and not the visually impaired and other kinds of disabilities? Was there a particular reason?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mhm.
Getting to start Deaf in Tech was more of a personal journey.
Okay.
And the story is founded in my history, in, and while in the university, I had a roommate who was deaf, who is still deaf. He's deaf,
Yeah.
named Harry. Very great guy, a very great social guy. And being roommates, I learned a lot from him about the who the deaf is, and having him in my room was first a culture shock because that's the first time
Yeah.
to see that also it's possible for a deaf person to be in school. I'm coming from a local background where the deaf we saw in the village were not schooled, were not educated, and they were basically just begging for arms. So it was a huge shock to find one in school. But fast forward after graduation, we parted way with my friend,
Okay.
and life happened to me in a more pleasant way. Went on to do my master's, went on to do my PhD, and later in years, I saw my friend, he couldn't make much progress with his life, not because of a fault of his, because Harry was a great guy. He was a very sociable young guy as at the time when we were in the university.
Okay.
And I figured out when I met with him, I figured out that the system failed him. Um, the system provided more opportunity for me
Mm-hmm.
to excel in my life choices than it provided
For him.
system for him to excel.
Yeah.
He couldn't get a job after university because every employer by default discriminates against him on the basis of what can he do
Yeah.
if he is deaf.
Yes.
So he had to settle for menial job. Imagine a graduate working as a cleaner.
Yeah.
So he had to settle in for menial job. And after my meeting with him, I began to think around how then can we solve this? If we begin to break down, identify what are the systemic gaps that limits his success, and begin to see how we can break those gaps, those systemic gaps, how we can bridge those gaps or break the ones that are core barriers. And that's what informed or starting the Deaf Intel.
This is such a touching story or revelation for me because this is a clear-cut example of necessity is the mother of invention because you saw the need for your friend to have a well-structured system that would aid him to have a better lifestyle. You decided to start this off. So this is really, really commendable, I must say. So earlier you mentioned that the Deaf in Tech has been in operation for about 2 years now. 3 years actually, since 2022. Can you tell us some of the programs that you've had for this particular initiative and how it has been so far? How has it been generally for you?
Great. Thank you. So, picking up from the story that I shared,
Okay.
um, the missing link for my friend was that he didn't have access to cutting edge skills that the world is paying for. Employers don't pay you because you are a graduate. They pay you because you have certain skills that they need. The world changed right before us, and tech skill became a highly sought for skill.
Yes.
And for instance, you do not need to hear to be a programmer. So if you're a programmer and you can write the code very well, no one really may care if you can speak or hear, as long as you can get the job done. So that was the first gap we identified with the community, the access to skills, employable skills, access to skills in demand.
Yes.
So in 2022, August, we began to provide that training, providing training in data analytics, providing training in programming, in website design, in areas of tech where the deaf have comparable advantage.
Oh, so that's to say that you do not only, or the programs you conduct for the deaf in tech is not solely around data analytics, because I thought that was the core of what your organization does. So it's spread across different tech solutions and stuff.
Yes.
Oh, that's great to know.
Yeah. So basically what we're doing is preparing them for the kind of jobs available, especially within the tech ecosystem.
Interesting stuff. All right, so still within the orbit of the education for this for persons with this particular disability, I would like to know what your curriculum is like, your training materials. What are they like? Because these are special conditions, and so they should have special system of education. So what are your curriculums like, and where do you use source for your facilitators or tutors?
Okay, so very great question. In the last 3 years, it's been a lot of learning for us and unlearning. When we started the Deaf in Tech, we do not have uh, trainers who could pass instructions to the deaf person. You see, for the deaf, they listen with their eye.
Yes.
The hearing, listen with their ears. So the reason the deaf cannot make much from our traditional educational system, because we try to teach them using an interpreter. So imagine I'm in class and I'm teaching programming. There is a screen showing the programming that I'm teaching. Then there is an interpreter on the other side who is trying to sign to interpret what the tutor is saying. Who do you think the deaf is focusing on?
On the interpreter.
On the interpreter, because he listens with his eye. So what it means is that the traditional system of teaching through an interpreter does not work for the deaf community.
Okay.
So in our early years, we started a fresh program where we were training sign language interpreters in tech.
Okay.
There we were helping the interpreters to transition into tech, teaching the interpreters programming skills, website design, data analytics, so that they now can train the deaf directly without having to have another
Interpreter.
ism of barrier
Exactly.
between the instructor. And that has worked for us really very well. Today, we not only use interpreter, we now have very, very competent deaf persons who are competent in these several tech skills, some working with us at Data Leader Africa, some working in other organizations, and some also coming to serve as tutors to train and provide mentorship to the younger ones coming in.
Amazing strategy, I must say, that you people actually utilize here. So it's more like train of the trainer system. So you train the trainers and then the trainers train other people, which is very, very great. So I know that this sort of training do not come without challenges. I'd like you to tell us some of the challenges that you have faced as an individual and as an organization in terms of running this particular Deaf in Tech initiative,
Great.
and even how you've been able to surmount them.
So the first problem that persons with disability have,
Yes.
aside from access to information,
Yes.
is funding.
It's a very important one.
Now you see that there is a training here
Okay.
where the deaf could participate. They need to get here. How do they get here? They need to transport themselves here. And over 80% of these participants can't even afford their transportation.
That's
Through years. Over the years, they've learned to live through tokenism, where people give them a little token here, give them a little token here and there.
Which is not sustainable.
Which is not sustainable. So our first biggest problem was getting them into class.
Okay.
How do we ensure that this person is coming for a 3-month program, coming for a 1-month program, is able to come to class every day? Our first 2 cohorts, we had a lot of dropouts where, and it was largely because they couldn't fund their way to come into class. The training is provided free.
Yeah.
But now
it's free.
It's free.
Wow.
But now having them to get to class is where the big challenge is. But how did we surmount that? Of course, we started providing transport stipends, which had aided them coming to class. Also, as a follow-up to that, to an average, a hearing person before you are 22, 25 would have maybe at one point or time used the computer. It's different for the deaf community.
Yes.
Most don't even have access to a computer and had never used it. So meaning that they come to class, they don't have their personal laptops to even learn with.
Yeah.
This we had to also find a way to provide for training purpose. But beyond that, we're looking forward to finding partners who are willing to say, I want to gift a deaf person a laptop. Just one person. I have this fairly used laptop. I have this new laptop that I want to gift a deaf person to be able to go back home and practice what he has learned.
Exactly. So if you're out there and you have a fairly used laptop, you can bring it to Data Leap Africa for members of the Deaf and Tech program. You can help somebody. It's not a very big thing to do, actually. All right, I think that is very thoughtful, because sometimes these are challenges that keep people from actually making progress because they do not have transport, or they do not have the devices that is required of them. So it's great that you're doing that. My next question will still hover around the training, because I'm also curious to know what the criteria is. I know you do not accept, maybe you do, but I don't think you accept everybody that is deaf and is interested in going into tech. What is the eligibility status before coming into deaf in tech program? Yeah.
So for us, we have different cluster of programs for the deaf.
Okay.
So we deal with the deaf people of varying of different age.
Okay.
So for children, we have classes for deaf children, deaf kids,
Okay.
from age 6 to age 15, where when they are on holidays, we teach them basic mathematics, we teach them programming. We have programs for graduates of the university or polytechnic or any of the monotechnics, who also fit into our program for that particular cluster.
Okay.
We also have very elderly deaf people who just want to know, who wants to learn how to use certain tools to ease their accessibility needs. For instance, we organize program for deaf people who want to optimize their LinkedIn. They are older people, and they want to learn how to make most of their LinkedIn, or some persons as basic as Microsoft Excel for their daily business routine. Okay, so we have different programs for different clusters, different ages, and we advertise them at different times.
Well, that's great. And still staying on that subject, can you tell us some of the different packages? Allow me to use the word. I know you had mentioned that there's classes that last for 3 months, I think 6 months. What are they like, and what kind of classes do you cover?
Okay, so we have, like for our kids, we have summer break where we camp them for a month.
Okay.
And they learn mathematics, they learn programming.
Okay.
Python programming basically for the kids. We call that
Okay.
digits and science,
Digits and
where they get to learn mathematics properly and then also learn programming introduce them to programming at an early age. For our graduates, we take them through courses like website design. Website design is a month program where they learn how to use the WordPress, and then we also have website design where they learn how to use HTML and CSS.
Yeah.
We have data visualization using Power BI. We have data analysis using Microsoft Excel. We'll have software development. We have Python programming courses, which is about 2 months. That's a an 8 weeks program for Python programming. So we have them in different uh, little modules. We don't model up their modules together. They take just a module. So they come do Python programming and take that for 2 months. They come for Power BI and take that for 2 months. That's how we.
Okay, so still trying to dissect. I'm just trying to understand the entire program to know how it works, especially for people that will probably be interested in coming for this, maybe after seeing this video in some way. So I want to understand how the modules work. Is it a module that you people create yourself, or do you work with any organization that tells you, oh, these people should be taught this and they should be taught that? And then another side to this question is, how do you assess or evaluate that these people are actually learning what is being taught?
Okay, so the Deaf in Tech is the first in Africa in terms of
Nice.
a project that is solely tailored to the deaf community, helping them to transition and learn tech
Okay.
skill. So what it does mean is that um, we are we are improving on what we're doing as we make progress. So what do? We subject our curriculum to peer reviews, share with other experts within the field to make input. From every training cohort, we take feedback from participants. We see what they're doing, and we're using that to improve our our output. In that regard. So more like we develop the curriculum.
Because you guys are like the pioneer.
We're like the pioneer.
Yes.
And secondly, for most of the tech tools, there are already standardized outlines for
Okay.
training them. For instance, Power BI, there's already a Microsoft Power BI outlines for different levels of Power BI usage. So we adopt that and then tailor it to the need of the deaf community.
Okay. So the other part of my question was, how do you assess or evaluate that these people are actually learning what you're teaching them?
So for every cohort, when we graduate them, they produce a project that is peer reviewed. They submit a project which is defended and peer reviewed by experts in the field. For example, next week, Tuesday, we're graduating a cohort who are doing data analysis using Microsoft Excel. They are working on their project, and for their graduation, their project is submitted to data analysts within the industry to peer review, to review it, to look at, make input into what they have done and grade them. So the grading is done by the external reviewer who review their final project output.
Oh, okay. I think that sounds very, very advanced, and it sounds like something that it will not that will not be biased, if I may even say, because you said it's an external auditor of sorts that actually goes through it. That's actually great. So now taking this into like a broader scope now, how do you think that deaf in tech is going to change things in the broader in the grand scheme of things, I should say? Do you think that the people that live here are usually very, very equipped with the knowledge that is required in the workforce? And do you think that the world, or in fact Nigeria or Africa, is receptive to people that have already been trained without any bias? Like, what do you think it's actually going to impact in the wider scope of the workforce?
I think there are two questions embedded in that you've shared, and great thoughts. First, our graduates, because we train them using industry level expectations. So for instance, for Power BI, we're using the Microsoft certified outlines. to train them. And so they are competent and ready for work. Um, and this is also demonstrated in what we've seen as their output. In Nigeria, for instance, during the 2023 presidential election, the Deaf in Tech built the uh, monitoring dashboard, the national monitoring dashboard that was used to monitor the 2023 election, which was, a very great input from the Deaf in Tech. That was done. We were contracted, the Deaf in Tech was contracted by Connected Development to build the platform. Also, one of the platforms that was also used by Ready to Lead Africa for the election monitoring was built by the Deaf in Tech team.
Wow. That's
So,
incredibly.
yes, so meaning that we have our graduates have been able to show beyond doubt that um, they are able to compete in the market to produce globally useful outputs. For instance, what the country used as, for monitoring the election in 2023. And in the side of the receptiveness to breaking the barrier for disability inclusion is a journey. In the last 3 years, we've trained about 1,200 deaf persons in different tech skills from website design and all of that. But we found that that has not necessarily translated into employment for our graduates. We still do about 36% of our graduates employed. So it means that we have a lot of deaf persons who have undergone this, gone through our training and have not been employed. What are our findings? It's a lot of organizations are still in between. We are equal employing organization. We want to employ persons with disability over the paper. We have that policy by paper. But we are not sure how to do this. So a lot of organizations are not really ready for that inclusion. The deaf community, especially in Nigeria, we already have quite a number of persons trained with the required skills. But the readiness of the organization to be more inclusive is the journey we are currently on. We're in the last 1 year, we're shifting our advocacy and our intervention to employers and organizations, where we're now hosting different level of dialogues, stakeholder dialogue, different level of convening with HRs of small and medium scale organizations, showing them what the deaf can do, and then two, trying to understand why they are unable or why they still are hesitant. One of it is, how do we communicate with this deaf person? If we employ a deaf data analyst, how do we communicate to this employee? And in the last 1 year, we've been providing free sign language classes to organizations. Currently with us, you can see them, is the Nigerian Civil Defense. So why are we doing this? We're training the Nigerian Civil Defense. About 2,000 corps will be a core member of the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps. We are learning sign language. Why? So as to help them more with their inclusive practice. So if they employ a deaf person, it's easier for the corps to be able to integrate and make the workspace an accessible one for the deaf. Okay. And we're doing that beyond the civil defense. We're doing that with several other organizations, Connected Development, several other organizations where we're providing training in sign language to ease the accessibility, because communication is the biggest barrier for the deaf. And once that is broken, accessibility and inclusion becomes easier.
Exactly, I agree. And I think that these are very critical stakeholders you are conversing with. And I actually hope that it actually results in something very productive because over the years we've heard that, oh, the federal government said there must be a quota of every employee in an organization. Yes, that includes people with certain kinds of disabilities. But in practice, we don't see these people in organizations. So I think that this is a good place to start from and continuously talking to stakeholders of this sort. So I would say at this point, thank you very much for your responses so far. It's been really, really insightful and helpful. So we're gradually coming to the end of this interview. And my next question will be, okay, keeping with your organization's mission or the mission for deaf in tech, what are some matrices or indices that you have been able to track to let you know that, oh, you're still on course and it's actually producing the results that you had initially envisaged? So what are some matrices rather, and how are you actually achieving them?
So for us, we have three core metrics that
Okay.
we've been using to track uh, growth trajectory. One
Okay.
is the number of deaf persons employed as a result of the skills that they've gotten.
Okay.
Two, the number of deaf persons who have been able to create an enterprise as a result of the skills that they've acquired. And then three, we also measure our growth in terms of geographical gains. In the last uh, um, 2 years, we've been able to expand into other states in Nigeria. Currently, Deaf in Tech in Uyo, Deaf in Tech in Nigeria, in Abuja. We're starting the Deaf in Tech clubs in the universities in Nigeria, kickstarting with 5 universities: Federal University Lafia, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, the Federal University in Abuja, and the University of Nigeria Nsukka, and the University of Ife, where we are creating hubs for deaf people within that university, and University of Ilorin, please, where we're creating hubs in those universities for deaf people to be able to learn tech. Also, geographical growth. This July, we're launching Deaf in Tech Ghana, and to also expand this geographic reach to other English-speaking um, African countries that shares similar sign language patterns with what we do in Nigeria. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So this is now going to be my official last question, because one of the questions I was going to ask you just responded to your expansion strategy or sustainability strategy. But I see now that you're going to universities, you're going beyond Abuja and even Nigeria as a whole. So it is great to know that. So I'd like you to just tell us conclusively now, based on what you were doing and with the expansion ongoing, give us an estimation or a projection of how many years you think that this will begin to yield results, especially in the tech ecosystem, where there would be a huge or higher number of people living with different kinds of disabilities that are productively employed or earning guaranteed amount of money in this particular space in the long run. Just give us like maybe how many years and how much impact you think it's going to actually result to.
So we're already yielding results. We already have deaf persons working within the tech ecosystem in Nigeria. I
Yeah.
mean, I could mention quite a lot of names
Okay.
of some of uh, the alumni who are already doing very well. But you see, um, disability, global population puts the percentage of persons with disability to about 15%.
Okay.
What it means is that even as the global population continues to grow,
Yeah.
the persons with disability, number of persons with disability also increases. But what we are doing at Deaf in Tech is we know that there are limits to physical geographic expansion. So what we've done here is to also build an online learning platform, which we call the DeafLearn. You can check www.deaflearn.com, where we also provide similar training we're doing in our physical classes online.
Yeah.
So that's the first and only platform like Udemy, like
Yeah.
Coursera, where a deaf person can go and learn tech skills, learn Java programming, learn Python programming in their native language of sign language online. Okay. So that platform is to help continue to reach beyond where our physical geographical growth pattern will enable us to do, it to access in that kind of sense. So in terms of uh, impact goal, we hope to be able to train about 20,000 deaf persons in Africa by 2030. And that's our goal. And also, we hope to be able to achieve up to 75% of employment for the persons that we have trained in our tech.
That's a very, very ingenious thing to actually do. And I'm curious to know if there's a community for these different people that you're training. Is there a community?
So at the Deaf in Tech, we have a very robust alumni
Okay.
where you graduate from us. We still continue that community where we provide mentorship and job opportunities. Okay. And then the deaf community at large also have a very robust community. In Abuja, we have the Abuja Association of the Deaf. In Nigeria, we have the Nigerian National Association for the Deaf. In Ghana, we have the Association for the Deaf. So there's a robust community of deaf people. And then we are also building a very robust alumni group that allows us to reach them with opportunities, information for their career growth.
All right, then. I think at this point we'll come to the end of this interview, and it was really great. However, I would want you to just take 30 seconds to say something to people that are living with disabilities and the potential that they still hold and the potential that they have to make money in the future and the impact that you're making. Based on the impact that you're making, I would want you to let Nigerians as a whole know that this is something that is workable. The fact that someone has certain disabilities doesn't mean the person does not have certain other abilities. So can you just say something to Nigerians in 30 seconds?
Okay, good. Thank you very much. First, disability inclusion program is not a charity program, it's a right. Persons with disability are humans. They are first human first before being a person with disability. And as nations in Africa, we must recognize that when we design for the minority, we have invariably designed for the majority. If you design an educational system that works for the deaf, you have invariably designed an educational system that works well for even the hearing. If we begin to become more inclusive with our designs, in our structural design, infrastructural design, systemic design, sectoral designs, becoming more inclusive, what happens is that we eventually design for the majority. And for employers, I like to say to you that disability does not mean inability. That someone has disability does not mean they are unable to think, they are unable to deliver on task within their area of comparative advantage. We want you to begin to look at disability, employment of persons with disability as part of your civic responsibility to your nation. No one chooses disability. Disability chooses us. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you very much. In essence, that's to say that there's ability even in disability. That's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of today's edition, and I personally learned a whole lot from this conversation, and it has changed my mindset about seeing certain things. So I hope that it also touches or changes a thing or two in your mind as to how you see people with certain kind of disabilities, and to also encourage inclusive innovation and technology. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayola, for being on this episode, and well done with the work that you do with Deaf in Tech and every other thing you do at Data Lead Africa. This was a great conversation. Thank you very much. All right, that'll be it for today. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of another very worthwhile and intelligent episode. I must say that I personally learned a lot. This conversation opened my eyes to different things, especially how to navigate circumstances that has to do with people with special abilities. I hope that it impacted you in so many different ways as well. My name again is Chioma Oti, and it was an honor being part of this particular episode as well. You can also be a part of this conversation by following us across all social media platforms, also subscribing to our YouTube channel so that you get to see every video as soon as it drops. Thank you very much again for being here, and I hope that this episode also inspires you to do that thing that you want to do and to bring the solution that you have in mind to life. Thank you very much again, and do have a great one. At this point, I'll say bye for now.